What's going on, guys? It's Ricky here with TechBud Solutions. Hope that you guys are all enjoying your Thursday. Today is October 12th, and the CPI data report is going to be released in the next 6 minutes. I will be live streaming the market's reaction to the CPI data report, and then I will be breaking down the report for those that are a little bit newer and that need help breaking it down. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so you can see exactly what it is that we're looking at. Overall, NASDAQ market is in the green during this pre-market session. I want to remind you that yesterday, once the PPI report, which is the Producer Price Index report, was released, market reacted in a negative way and then quickly recovered because the PPI report came in higher than what was expected. Remember, we want inflation to go down, right? That's what the Federal Reserve wants. And if we see that the inflation report comes in higher than what was expected, a normal reaction would be that the market would sell off in response to, okay, the Federal Reserve can justify a larger rate hike or a rate hike because inflation is not coming down as quickly as it was expected. I want to remind you that there's two focuses for these CPI data reports, also known as inflation reports. It's overall CPI and then core CPI. Core CPI is all items less food and energy, and it's the only thing that the Federal Reserve can actually influence with, again, their monetary policies. So I'm going to give it some time for people to be able to start tuning on in. If you guys are able to tune on in, again, feel free to participate in the live chat. You do have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to partake in that. So just a little heads up on that. All right. And if you have any questions, please ask me now before the actual report comes out. So don't ask me what I think is going to happen. I can't predict the future. I'm not going to pretend like I can, right? This is why we talked about what I'm intending to do. And just because I intend to do it doesn't mean that you need to, but it's not being afraid to stay cash, right? We are unsure of what's going to happen and how the market's going to react. Is it going to be positive or negative? And because of that, then we can stay cash, wait for the market to kind of paint its picture for the day, and then choose to react, right? Based on the PPI report, wouldn't you think that CPI would come in high too? Not necessarily. Normally, the PPI report is a forecast for future, right? For future CPI reports, because if inflation is going up or down on the producing side of things, whatever the producer experiences, it gets normally passed down to the consumer, right? So if they're experiencing higher cost of goods to, whatever it is that they're producing, then normally, the consumer is going to see higher, cost of whatever those goods are when it comes down to buying it. You sound sick. Well, I'm definitely not sick, but I told you guys that I would host this live stream, and I wanted to stay true to my word. So regardless of feeling under the weather, I wanted to make sure that I went live with you guys. So I know a handful of you guys are completely new to this. So just wanted to make sure that I took some time and that, we prepared in advance. We talked about the report once it comes out. And if it's okay with you, I'll probably spend 5 to 10 minutes breaking down the report and answering any questions you might have. I want to remind you, right? Once this report is released, I don't want to say that it doesn't matter what gets reported, because it does, right? If inflation does come in higher than what was expected, that's not a good thing. If inflation comes in lower than what was expected, that's normally a good thing, and it could be a good reaction. Market's really iffy right now, right? There's times that good news is bad news and bad news is good news. But there's times that, again, good news is good news and bad news is bad news. The market can have a very confused way of reacting, which is why it's good to understand what is being reported, but it's good to also respect the way that the market reacts, because ultimately your opinion doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else says, right? What matters really for the day as day traders is market direction. So you can be super opinionated of like, hey, I think the market should have gone up. I think the market should have gone down. But guess what? No one cares about what your opinion is or my opinion, because ultimately the only thing people care about is what the market is going to do after the report is released, right? So please understand that our opinions literally do not matter. It's good to understand the report, but what's most important is how the market chooses to react, okay? I'm saying this because a lot of people, including myself, have been burned during these reports because we're so opinionated on thinking the market has to do something that it doesn't, right? So you can fight with the market or you can choose to dance with it, right? So I really hope that I earn your thumbs up in this live stream. We have less than 1 minute left before the CPI data report comes out. It will be released on bls.gov/CPI. And then I will be breaking it down. So let's see if we can get this video to over 1,000 likes. And of course, I'd greatly appreciate it. So also, I do trade live with my LPP team every morning. We are running our biggest sell right now, and that's going to be that second link in the description down below. And if you have any questions before joining our LPP team for our live sessions, just shoot me a direct message via Discord or via Instagram. So here we go. Looks like the market's getting ready to choose its side. We got less than 10 seconds left. You guys ready? All right, here goes. And look at that. Looks like it might be reacting in a negative way. Definitely not a positive reaction right off the bat. Let's see if it carries, right? It could be a fake out, so let's be aware of that. Let's see what gets released. Do you guys see it on your side? Oh, here it goes. Came in 3.7%. Am I correct? 3.7% all items before seasonal adjustment. All right. So we came in a little bit higher than what was expected. Normally, that's not the best thing for the market. But we came in at 3.7. Expectation was, or forecast according to investing.com, was 3.6. So there it goes. 3.7% is what was reported. Forecast was 3.6. So pretty much it's a break-even report based off of what it was last month. Just a little higher than what was expected. Nothing too significant. It's not the end of the world, right? Let's see if it continues. Still kind of a confusing market reaction, wouldn't you say? What was core CPI? Very quickly, if you ever want to see what core CPI is, you should be able to see it right on over here. So all items less food and energy. So all items less food and energy is core CPI, right? It's 4.1%. So there you go, 4.1%. And then we're going to break down the line items. Is that going to be okay with you guys? Or do you guys want me to close out the live stream right here? Let me know in the live chat. Close out the live stream, call it a day, or break down the line items just so we have a better understanding of what was reported. Initial claims and continuing claims both came in a little bit lower, or initial claims came in lower than what was expected. And so again, that's not necessarily the best news. This means that less people are filing for unemployment for the first time, right? So that means that maybe we have a stronger labor market, but continuing claims came in higher than what it was last week. So it kind of contradicts itself. How do I win the M4? Guys, I want to remind you, you don't have to enter, but up until October 15th is, again, our M4 giveaway, and it's prize week, which means every order gets a prize. It could be just a few bucks in every order, wireless speakers or smart TVs, drones, Xboxes, Beats, PlayStations. We gave away a PlayStation. We're trying to give away one of these big items, one or two of these big items almost every day, and the rest of you get cash. But again, every order gets a prize, and this is for prize week for the M4 giveaways. So not only do you get a prize, but you also get automatically entered for that M4 giveaway. So that's at shoptechbuds.com or the fourth link in the description down below. So just a little heads up on that. So, I mean, your breakdown is just reading the PDF. We ain't missing out that much. I agree. Yeah, it's just, again, for our beginners, they have trouble understanding what they're reading. I don't know why you need to be salty about it, ZL, if you don't want to tune on in. It looks like a handful of people would like me to break it down. So would love to break it down for you. ZL, do me a favor. Feel free to not watch. Trust me, I won't even notice that you're not here, buddy. Let me just go ahead and I'll remove you so you don't have to, hear me much longer here. Okay. Isn't it funny how like people consume their time with just like being so negative, and then they wonder why their life, is so sad. Man, I can't imagine how sad my life would have to be to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to tune on into a live stream to just spiel just negative comments, right? I don't know what I would be looking in the mirror. But it's all good. Let's go ahead and break this down. So all items for September. So again, the reason I want to break this down is I just want to make sure that, for the next CPI data report, you're able to read one of these reports yourself, right? I want you to be able to understand it enough that, if a friend or a family member were to ask you, what are you reading? What does this mean? That you can break it down for them. That's always the goal, right? Not to tell you what you need to do, but to understand how to do it yourself. So these CPI data reports, it's just an inflation report, right? And it tracks inflation on these line items, right? So it tracks inflation month over month. That's the way that this is being tracked. So for the month of September is what was just reported. So we're going to be asking the question, hey, for food, did inflation go up or down? Did the prices of food go up or down? That's pretty much what it's asking for the month of September. So you can see that this is a 0.2% increase. That from August to September for food, we saw a 0.2% increase. For food at home, 0.1% increase. For food away from home, a 0.4% increase, right? You guys get the idea? Energy saw an increase of 1.5%. So that's been our biggest increase so far. Energy always tends to be the biggest contributor to the inflation report. So just a little heads up on that. But again, it's not included in core inflation. So a heads up on that as well. As you could see, last month, we saw big jumps, right? 5.6, 10.5, 10.6. But this month we saw 1.5, 2.3, 2.1. But then look at this one. This is fuel oil, right? We've all been seeing, at least I have, when filling up at the pump, prices have been more expensive. So this is 8.5%. So this was the biggest jump that I've seen so far. Then we see energy services, 0.6% of an increase. And then we have electricity, 1.3% of an increase. We have utility piped gas services. So according to this, in the month of September, we saw a drop of negative 1.9%. Not bad, right? So that's a takeaway. We have all items less food and energy, an increase of 0.3. So we have negative 0.4% for commodities, less food and energy commodities. We have new vehicles, saw an increase of 0.3%. When it comes down to used cars and trucks, we saw a decrease. So prices of trucks and cars, used cars and trucks are still dropping. We have negative 2.5%. We saw a drop on apparel, negative 0.8%. We saw a drop on medical care commodities, a drop of 0.3%. And then the rest were nice little jumps, very small. Services, lost energy services is an increase of 0.6. We have shelter, 0.6. We have transportation services, 0.6. And then medical care services. So altogether, it looks like for the month of September, all items, we saw an increase of 0.4%. Right? We added 0.4. And then once this thing were to update the way that it's calculated, it pretty much whatever it took away, it added. And that's why we're pretty much at that break even, right? We were at 3.7% inflation rate before. We had an expectation to drop a little bit, but we just came in at the same 3.7%. So it is a little bit worse than what was expected. So it doesn't surprise me that the market, as of right now, and again, we saw this a little bit yesterday. This is a little bit more of a reaction, but we saw this a little bit yesterday where the market reacts in a negative way once the report is first released. And then by the time the market opens, it can completely shift the way that it begins to trade. It can just begin to be super bullish. I'm reminding you, don't take my word for it. Take other people's experiences, right? Or if you've experienced it yourself. During these major economic reports, such as CPI data, inflation reports, all that good stuff, right? Markets are very volatile, and it doesn't always make sense in the way that it trades, right? The market's selling off right now, and it makes sense because, of course, the report came in a little bit worse than what was expected. It doesn't have to hold at these levels, right? So this is just your reminder that if there's a quick change of direction and you did nothing about locking in profits, if you're shorting the market and you didn't cover your profits, this is a very risky time to trade. So don't put yourself in a position or position size in which you cannot tolerate. We're always here to look out for the beginner, and I hope you know that, right? But I'm just reminding you that by the time the market opens, it doesn't have to continue to sell off. It could all of a sudden begin to skyrocket. And remember, the only people that freak out are those that did not prepare. Okay? My apologies. Again, like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather, but didn't want to miss out on this live stream with you guys. So I'm happy that I was able to make it happen. And yeah, I wanted to answer maybe just a few questions before we close it out. So feel free to ask any question you might have in that live chat. And remember, you do have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to be able to partake in this live chat. So just a little heads up on that. Okay. It looks like overall NASDAQ market is beginning to show signs of a support here, right? Look at the MACD, look at the RSI. We pulled back enough, and it looks like it's building this support. We'll see if it forms lower highs, but as of right now, it's looking like it's going to try to recover, and that is in favor of the bulls, not the bears, right? You can punch air. You can be like, that doesn't make sense. Why is it going to recover? I want to remind you, it doesn't matter what you think, right? All egos aside. Doesn't matter what I think. All that matters is how the market reacts. So if you're beginning to see signs of a support, signs of a potential reversal, our job is to react, right? Not to, oh, I hope that it just doesn't recover. Would you entertain TQQQ right now with overbought levels? Again, just Elizabeth, one of my biggest things right now is I still don't even think the market knows what it's going to do. I want to remind you, pre-market, you have to buy with limit orders and you have to sell with limit orders, right? And based off of how the market's been trading for the past couple of days, market's been very bullish. It's been finding every reason to be bullish. So if it does begin to sell off, I feel like it could be a pretty bloody day for the market, right? CPI data report, it makes sense. But if all of a sudden it just begins to show support, that wouldn't really surprise me, right? Because the pattern for the past couple of days has been that it makes full recoveries even after it sells off, right? It recovers, sells off, it recovers. It's been this continuous uptrend pattern. So the bulls can just come out of nowhere. Once again, the demand can be high enough and it can just begin to recover. You can't be surprised by that. So because of that, I'm still very unsure. I would like to wait. You guys probably don't know. My LPP knows because I told them yesterday. But I'm getting ready for a trip. I'm going to be heading out to the airport in about 1 hour. So based off of, the conditions that I'm going to be open to, I'm not going to want to take a risky trade right now. It's not going to be in my best interest. Do I need to force a position before the market opens? No, I don't. It looks like the market as of right now pulled back, right? We're showing signs of a support. And it could begin to show signs of a recovery. A recovery would support the previous patterns for the past, 3 to 4 days. But again, just because it's happened before doesn't mean that it has to happen again. If we break below this, major support, then we could see maybe a little bit more selling pressure. So I'm taking it, one step at a time. I'm okay with being cash. I don't know if, again, that's a big focus of mine for this month, is to not overtrade and to not force a position just because I can or because it kind of makes sense. I want to make sure that I'm calculated, right? Yesterday, I did really well just by staying really patient during specific uncertain times. All right. Will you be live for the LPP team today? I do not plan to, right? I told you guys yesterday that Today, because of my travel, I probably won't be going live. It would just cut way too close to the time that I would need to be at the airport. So just like I told you yesterday, this was the live stream that I was going to be hosting today, but I do plan to go live tomorrow as long as my internet connection is pretty solid. Ricky, what do you think about TGT? It got upgraded by Bank of America. I don't care what Bank of America said. It looks like it gapped up, and they're short-lived catalyst normally. But after selling off for 4 months, it's going to need a lot more than just 1 or 2 green days for it to convince me, right? It's super oversold. It's been descending since when? 2021, pretty much at the end of 2021. So almost 2 years it's been selling off. I don't care what Bank of America says. It's not indicating any signs of an uptrend, right? I don't care what anyone says. I want it to show it to me. I want it to prove it to me, and it's not doing that. So because of that, again, I don't care what any analyst from Bank of America says. Their opinion means nothing, right? In the grand scheme of things, it's a struggling company based off of recent 2-year performance, and let's take it as that. The report was good. No. I mean, the report was not good. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good, right? Came in at 3.7. Expectation was 3.6. So it came in a little bit higher than what was expected. That's all. Let's see if the PDF is ready. There it goes. So this is pretty much the breakdown for the PDF. You can see that we added it. We increased by 0.4%, right? Just like we broke it down for overall and all items for the CPI report. And then we removed the previous month for 2022 of the 0.4, right? So it just takes the past 12 months into consideration. There's an exact formula, so it's not just taking away one and then adding a new one. But in the simplest way, without that formula, it's a rough estimate. So taking away this, adding this, it's very close to that. And we came in at that 3.7%. So 0.1% higher than what was expected, which isn't too bad. And then we could see these items here, right? This is overall all items. We can see that inflation is now holding here. But overall core CPI looks like it actually went down. It looks like it went down from 4.3 to maybe 4.1. So that's a positive takeaway, because remember, core CPI is what the Federal Reserve has the option to influence. So I'm going to leave it at that. All right, guys. Well, I need to blow my nose again. I will keep our LPP team up to date in the trade ideas. So based off of what I see, I will keep you guys up to date. I'm not trying to force anything when it comes down to these trades, especially because we've seen the market and how wild it's been for the past week. I do apologize that I sound so nasally. Again, I just can't control it, but I just wanted to make sure that I went live with you guys for this CPI data report, especially because I knew a handful of you have never experienced it before. So I hope that the way that I broke it down, not just the actual rate itself, but the overall report, made it a little bit easier for you to understand as a complete beginner, so that once the next report is released, you have the option of being able to break it down yourself. So I hope that earned your thumbs up. Appreciate you guys' time. Remember, if you want to be a part of our LPP team, you don't have to, but if you want the ability to watch me trade live every morning, that's going to be the second link in the description down below. It's our biggest discount to one-time payment, lifetime access, and you'll get to watch me trade live every day. So other than that, make sure you guys head on over to shoptechbuds.com or the fourth link in the description down below and enter our M4 giveaway during prize week before it's too late. So appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year